The light is on in all our hearts. We have with us marvelous, miraculous, budding blooms and flowers. Namaste and mitakuye oyasin. Welcome to our broadcast. You, if I have anything to do with it, are the cosmic Christs. You and we all are the ones we have been waiting for. We're up against the wall of our own stupidity. So it's time to back away from the mistake that patriarchy is, the planeticide it's causing, and switch to the new millennial golden rule, our paradigm shift for the entire planet Earth. You can read about it at 5050now.wordpress.com and scroll down to the section right at the top right, the new millennial golden rule. Scroll down a little further to sermons, and underneath there you'll see we all have a dream to make reality now. And scroll down further to the section on grassroots congresses and courts and legislatures, and you'll see a section called Among the Representatives, you, and you. We've invited some of the representatives, not all. We have to do some further outreach, but I'm acting intercessorily for this transitional government of women and youth aged 37 and younger for our planet Earth, female and male youth aged 37 and younger. You are the most important people on Earth. You have endangered yourselves. You're relying on machines to reach you and not using your own machines to reach one another and me. We live in a time when we can reach out to one another and easily greet one another. And some of us have not been doing it. And I'm watching how the machines themselves seem to be in a state of rebellion. I've been having all kinds of technical problems because I think the machines are trying to communicate to the people, why aren't you coming to these broadcasts? What's going on with you? You need to wake up. You're endangered and you're endangering others. So we hope you'll come. And this is the beginning section of a usual ceremony I do in honor of our dearest family and all our human family, which is all related. And I'll continue it in just a little while. I'm going to put this on mute, put on some screen share if I could get that to working. I've been having a little trouble with it. And let you do some reading. Every blessing, namaste. The divine within me greets the divine within you. I'm reaching to see if I can bring up the page of We All Have a Dream, but the computer is slow. It's cooperating, but rather slowly. Pages are slowly turning, very slowly. There seems to be a problem with the speed of the browser. I'm not sure why. There is a lot of disk space on here. I cleared up a lot of space so that we could operate these broadcasts well, and it's continuing to show some technical problems. I'm not quite sure why. It's probably some arcane message from our goddess God that I'm trying to understand. Okay, or mysterious. I won't say arcane. Mysterious. All right, let's see if our screen share will work. We're waiting to see if some people will show up, and we'll continue our broadcast in a little while. Meantime, in the interim, look at this page at 5050now.wordpress.com. Under the sermons section, scroll down to We All Have a Dream to Make Reality Now. I've already read this essay online a couple of times this week already, and we'll continue our ceremonies in just a few moments. We are available on the telephone line. It is open. We are waiting for you to call 1641-715-3800, 773-342. And you can talk with us directly and be heard on air, on Hangoutz Air. And we welcome you. Okay, we had ourselves on mute, so you wouldn't hear us making some outreach calls. We do the rounds of those, and we'll continue to do that. You've heard our trumpet broadcast earlier in the day, our musical medley of risen music, sharing all the heritages of the world from the perspective of the divine feminine. And we are the incarnation of Estrella, the divine goddess of justice, that is the Statue of Liberty goddess, and also the genealogical relation, the risen youngest cousina of both the Magdalene and the Nazarene families. I am an inheritor of that, and many of my family are on these branches, and also the inheritor of our Vedic India connection through the Roma, and that means that we have a connection, and we have a very date synchronicity in our family to Kasturba Akabediya Mahatma Amma and Mohandas Mahatma Gandhi, Akabediya Gandhi, and they had, of course, enormous influence on Coretta, whose name means Queen of Hearts, and her mate, Martin. But we also have to think, before we even talk about Martin, that Martin wouldn't have had this kind of struggle had Coretta and his sister Angela Christine, she now uses that name. She was called Willie, interestingly, as a child. That was her born name, but she has changed it to Angela Christine, and I'm glad she did. Their daughters, Yolanda and Bernice, and there's other women in this family. There's the mother, Alberta McMurray, and Coretta's mother. I have to look it up again. Equally powerful women, very marvelous, miraculous women. And we have to think of their contemporaries in South Africa, Winnie, as well as Nelson Mandela, and all the women there now who have much better representation there now than the women of the United States, whether of color or not of color. Gandhi's granddaughter, Ella Gandhi, is in South Africa. She is in the government. She sits in the Congress there. Their Congress has far more women than ours does. Now is the time for 50-50 everywhere. The only reason we don't have it is our media is so controlled that the women of this part of the world and many other parts of the world have been literally hypnotized in the most destructive to them way. They have been put to sleep when they should have been most active. They have been entertained into numbness, and as a result, our world is sitting on the brink of world war, Fukushimas, horrible global warming, Hunger Games, extinction of almost all life, and the end of our planet. When you put an entire gender to sleep on purpose, what do you expect? A good outcome? The North American women are asleep. They're still waiting for their men to carry their dreams. Are they children? Was Coretta Scott King a child? Is Willie, Angela Ferris, Christine Ferris, a codependent of her niece, of her nephews? Why did this family not support each other for office already? It's the same reason that the women of the Skakel, Brannock, Skakel, Hannon, Fitzgerald, Bouvier, Kennedy clan hasn't done a very good job on that either. And it's the same reason why the women of my clan, and I'll show them, they're also brilliant, gifted women in their youth, female and male, are gifted people. But they're not gathering together. They're not coming here yet. They're not coming to talk with all of you, and you coming to here to talk with me. Now, I have absolutely no fear. I'm happy to say just the honest truth about this, because the sociopaths in the boardrooms already have figured this out. I'm not telling them anything new. There's nothing new that I can tell them. They already know how to game their system. They all already know how to deceive women. They're good at it. And the women are also willing. Some of them. So this is the nature of the gender knot that a book written by Ellen Johnson talks about. The women continue in their enabling submissive role. The men wink at it, don't notice that that 3/4 of the human family is lesser, is considered lesser according to the way the news is reported, and when decisions are made. And their work, the nature of their work, the nurturing, connecting, child raising, family stewardship, and earth stewardship, work that so many women do, is not talked about. What's talked about is some old guy and how much money he made that year. Or this guy who's got that army, or this guy who's got that army, and whether or not he's going to push the nuclear button or he's going to push the nuclear button. And all of the women are just invisibilized. Or they're there to look up admiringly at the guys who have their fingers on the nuclear buttons. This is patriarchy, folks. It's not what we want. I am a representative of Astrea, the goddess of Atlantis, the longest lived sustained civilization on the face of the earth known to humankind. It was a female-friendly civilization and egalitarian in its decision-making. It had enormous seafaring reach, but no wars, no fortifications. Everyone was wealthy. There was no poor. They had no poor. Everybody was well taken care of. They had enormous spiritual life. They gathered in large communities for spiritual practices that talked about how people could become immortal, because they knew there was a process of apotheosis. And that is what I am delivering to you. Do you want to have eternal life as a young person? Because that's what I am giving to you. I am the Paraclete, and I have this figured out completely. I was predicted to come by Jesus of Nazareth, according to the Gospels. They said another one would come. I've come. Now you better hear me. All you old guys sitting in your offices, destroying the world like Animal Farm. George Orwell, of course, is saying I told you so. But George Orwell didn't use the P word that he needed to use. Patriarchy. Patriarchy, patriarchy, patriarchy. Poison, poison, patriarchy. Earth planeticidal patriarchy. Instead of everlasting egalitarian society. Heavens on earths. Which do you want? Now, I'm going to do a little ceremony that I do for my own family. Mother Teresa said a very wise thing, which I didn't know when I was younger to take heed enough, and I didn't know what she said when I was younger. She said, if you want to make peace in the world, start with your own family. But I have to say, to clarify that, Mother Teresa did not make peace in her own family. She allowed her own family to be severely dominated by old men. The Roman Catholic Church is a big winker. They wink, wink, wink hypocritically at all the ills of humankind. They stick a guy named Francis in front of you, and behind him the cardinals are all invested in oil and coal and making a lot of money. Hypocrisy is the middle name of patriarchy. The final name of patriarchy is planetary extinction. We better talk about patriarchy and its alternative, the New Millennial Golden Rule. Now, later in today's broadcast and tomorrow, I will present to you some consciousness currencies of many families, including the Scott King clan. The name was originally Branham, not King, but even the name Scott and Branham or King all came from the Anglo context. These people started in Africa. They had different kinds of names. that were probably more like Orisha, which is the name of the African goddess. There's ministresses in this family. They are ministering, but like a number of the women in my family tree who have different religious heritages too, many of them have been leaving out the goddess worship that was the way of this planet for many more thousands of years than we have been without it. And leaving that out is a huge mind poisoner. It is the opposite of spirituality. There isn't just one beautiful young man who's going to come and save us all. We better save him. He's endangered. I can tell you that right now, that several of the young men that I know are very much endangered by the practice of patriarchy around them and by their willingness to practice it themselves to their own detriment. If Jesus came back today, he would call himself a divine feminist, not just a nationalistic guy. The whole abortion debate that became the focus of feminism in North America is a sideshow and a deliberate distraction that is used by more conservative forces to keep American women from looking at the bigger issues, which are representation, divine democracy, balance of love and work, protection of children at every stage of life, and protection of the human family against war and aggression and exploitation. These are natural issues for women. The issue of abortion is a very sensitive one. It's a very real issue, but it shouldn't be decided by governments of mostly men, do you think? And women getting all bent out of shape over every decision that comes down. We have the anniversary of Roe and Wade coming up. That's an absurdity. The Supreme Court was designed without common sense. Common sense was delivered in January of 1776. It called for a government that had equal presence of women, indigenous, no slavery, and no property requirements. We yet don't have that. And we have a Supreme Court. It's just supreme idiocy. And the whole thing is idiocy. And we've been bathed in idiocy, and we didn't know it because we didn't have the internet, and not enough of us could find our way out of the lies that we were told as children, and especially are told by television. Well, now a lot of us have found our way out of the lies. We know that patriarchy produces lies. It's a lie maker. It forces people to kowtow to old men who are selfish and egotistical and sociopathic. Because patriarchy prevents them from developing intimacy with their own children and grandchildren, and the women in their lives, and each other. As a result, they tend towards sociopathy after just adjusting to patriarchy long enough. It forces them into that mode. They're forced to be assholes by patriarchy itself. So the thing to do is get free of patriarchy and start partnership society and have. And we've done that retroactively. We do so with every great and grandmother. We've already written to all the genealogy societies. Through the name of my mother, Harriet, our mother, Harriet, we have represented all women on earth. Our great and grandmothers, Harriet, Ray, Rose, Antoinette, Marie, Grandma Popper, and Dorothy. We have represented them to every genealogy society on the earth on behalf of all the women on earth, and also Lynn Margulies, the great mother of the Gaia effect. We've represented them all and said we want to protect all their children. You need to count these women and the trillions and trillions of dollars that were not counted, that they produced for the world in terms of value that were not counted, but that we can count now as the genuine progress indicator. So now I've given my blurb. This is going to be a relatively brief broadcast, so let me give my ceremony, and we will do more of our deeper discussions of the various families that are most celebrated at this time, but we really should be celebrating all families in divine democracy. You heard from the Native American women, the white calf buffalo women. They also suffered as the slaves suffered here, the people of color. All the immigrants to this once supposed to be melting pot, which became a big hierarchical shell game of co-optation and enabling and exploitation. We have to change that. We're going to change it. We're going to change the whole world, and we're going to make it work. because God wants us to. That's what God wants for us. And if not, God is going to let us destroy ourselves. It's that simple. God will just let it happen. Say, all right, do it. Take yourself out. I'm not going to protect you. Because you have to identify the source of your illness in order to change it. And it is patriarchy. So you can't just pray and think you don't have to think. You also have to think. You have a brain for a reason. God gave you one. So let me do my ceremony. And let me find our right graphic to put up. And we'll do our quick ceremony, and then we'll come back later this afternoon and again in the starry hours and do more for our family and for all of your family. We are all related. We are all related. I'm just looking to pick up a file here, so you're seeing me staring into the screen. It looks like I'm staring into the camera, but I'm not. I'm staring into the screen just to... Now, my computer is kind of slow, so you have to bear with me. Us messiahs don't always get the best equipment. We're not supposed to. We're the last that shall be first. But we do have to talk to our beloved children. We do have to be able to do that. So we make do with what we have until we can get better. And eventually we will get better on the equipment, and you'll have an even more seamless broadcast on these broadcasts. I am hopeful because I know we're on the verge of such horror very quickly and soon that people who have been in denial are going to have to face that they have been in denial, and they are going to have to face that they have to change their ways. It is impossible that they not. All of the chickens are coming home to roost. We are ready for the big switcheroo out of patriarchy into a reparative period for women and youth and minorities, and then full partnership culture that brings the older men back in as partners instead of as dominators. Yeah, I like to do this during the daytime hours for our own family, because I believe they deserve a sunny picture. Although when you think about it, traveling in Earth on a solar-powered, traveling around the Earth or into the wider expanse of the solar system and the universe through the Stargate and on solar-powered vehicles will also be quite delightful. But right now, I do want them to focus on the solar, on our own star, and how we can make our world grow beautifully with the light of our own star and the rainbow of our culture, of heritages, of women and youth of all heritages. So let me put this on the screen for a moment, and then we'll do the ceremony. Now, I have already given you the names of these people once or twice, and I've invited them to come. It's my preference to just say their initials today rather than their names, because I want them to say their own names, but we'll just give initials today. C, R, H, J, R, A, D, L, and here we have R and J and E and M and M and B and R and G and L. And here we have H and V and S and L and R and E and more. They know who they are, because when I say their initials, they know I'm talking about them. L, and did I say V? Yes. And another H, and another M, and all of these young people and all of these young women who can get younger again, if they will credit the work done by their great and grandmothers and their knowledge that everything is connected, and that when we don't do that credit for so many cumulative generations, our world becomes so imbalanced that we cannot sustain it. We have these women and these youth in a traveling government, which we call the Co-Federation of the New Millennial Golden Rule. They will bring yin and yang balance back to the planet Earth, and the light of yin and yang balance, which is the source of all light in the universe and is the actual interactive pattern of the Mother, Father, Goddess, God. It is their process. It is the one process. It is yin and yang. And we have been ignoring and taking for granted the yin and walking all over the yin. And even women have been walking all over the yin as if they didn't know it was important now for too long. The danger is extreme, and we have to pull out of our tailspin. So let me do our ceremony, and then we'll come back this afternoon for a larger broadcasts, and again in the evening, this evening in the starry hours. Okay. The light is on in all our hearts. We have with us marvelous, miraculous, budding, blooming flowers in water, hugs and love for all, both in each and every one, as soon as possible. The light is on in all our hearts. We have with us marvelous, miraculous, budding, blooming flowers in water, hugs and love to all, both in each and every one, as soon as possible. We'll drink the milk of human kindness for all, both in each and every one, as soon as possible. In other ceremonies and in the spring, we'll also add glasses filled with fruit juice, water, and wine. Well, we have the water, to symbolize some of the holidays of spring. Right now, we think in terms of snow is white, but it's actually milk that makes us the Milky Way. It's the milk of our mammalhood, which is an abundantly mother-centered type of life that we are. And it's so important. The early breastfeeding time, the breastfeeding on cue are the huge issues for humanity. If we can resolve that problem, and we have many experts who have agreed with me on this, if we can be sure that children are raised with adequate breastfeeding and on cue, empathic bonding with their mothers, and then their mothers are supported by an extended family that respects that mother as a whole and holy human being, not just a mother, but also a holy and whole human being who has other capacities also, and needs to be balanced, and the whole society and family needs to be balanced around this support. Then we will become a society of all geniuses, all goddess gods, all of us. We will be equinoxes, true cues. It'll be just as common as grass and flowers. Everyone will be stellar. Right now, it's only a few people who are stellar, and they're very often very close to their mothers. Alexander Graham Bell, who made, and we're on a telephone call conference right now, or we should have been. Let's see it. Let me fix that. Okay, if any of our family wants to call in, they can. They know this line. They also have my number. And really, I really am so lacking in fear. I don't care who has my number. Because, yeah, there's a lot of people who hate what I have to say. But I really have the mantle of the protection of the Mother, Father, God's God. If anything happens to me, I'll come back again. Stronger. So I am here to save this planet. I am your true Q. First but not last or only true Q. First and not last or only cosmic Christ. Do not screw me, because then you screw yourself. Do not fuck with me, because then you fuck with yourself. If you like life, if you like eating and sleeping and some measure of life, heed me and protect me and embrace the new millennial golden rule and all those who are my children, who is everyone on earth. And I have the symbol of our universe. I drink the water of loving, living, enlightened planets that will reclaim and sustain our world and worlds, all our worlds, to be for all, both in each, representing all, both in each, and everyone as soon as possible. We'll celebrate and re-celebrate all our birthdays, conception days, name days, and holy days together, past, present, future, starting with our spring generations, our young women and men, alongside and interweaving with our women of all heritages and all generations, and in our family, our generations, and we'll gather together and celebrate past, present, and future. After that, we'll also celebrate the older men. We'll celebrate and re-celebrate all our birthdays, conception days, name days, and holy days, past, present, and future together. And let me say, I'm going to say the names of our great and grandmothers. Rhea Ray, Clara Ra, Ezhera Harriet, Risen Rose. Say that again. Harriet, Ray, Clara, Risen Rose, Antoinette, Precious Antoinette, Marie, Goddess of Flow and Human Kindness and Love, and Grandma Popper, better than Mary Poppins. She's going to put solar panels on every roof in the world. No more sooty chimney sweeps. We're going to have no soot in our air. We're going to have the reflection of the loving sun upon us and cooling our world and warming it in measurement that is what we should be re-evolved to have occur. And also Dorothy, learning all the lessons of the Wizard of Oz. And there's many more, Shekinah, in our family, and all of you women who are in our family, you have great and grandmothers. We have in our family been thinking of a whole multitude of women and their youth, age 37 and younger, female and male, during that time of their life. We have to remember our fathers and our grandfathers when they were young, enough to not be misogynist. Those who learn misogyny too early cannot be included. But we do know that most men are able to resist it to some extent. The natural impulse is egalitarian. the natural feelings between the genders is a love instinct. Mariama and Jesus of Nazareth give a good example of that. It's pure. There's a pure friendship aspect between normal young adults. It's only when they are degraded that they become obsessed with an exploitive sexual aspect. We are moving beyond that. We have higher cortexes for a reason. We are spiritual beings, not just animal ones. And we know that it is in the risenhood of the friendship between not only women and women as friends and men as friends, but women and men as friends, that we have sisterhood and brotherhood and stable, sustainable marriages. So we'll celebrate and re-celebrate all our birthdays, conception days, name days, and holy days. And then we can also get to our other, those are all holy days. Every time someone enters the circle, being conceived and being born is an extremely holy day and changes the entire circle. It changes the universe. Goddess God knows it, and each one of you is precious. And I know how precious some of you are because I know you from childhood, and I know you from your pictures, and I know you from reading from some of what you've done, and I know that you are precious beyond words, and so am I. And I'm fascinated how people have to go out of their way to ignore me because they are trained to think that the only paraclete would have to be a male, that the only Buddha would have to be a male, that the only Xiaoxiant would have to be a male. Well, it isn't so. They come in both flavors, and the women have to come first this time. Then the men can arise and arrive and reveal themselves, but the women have to come first. And they have to be stabilized in the co-leadership before the men can come forward. Older men cannot come forward at all. They have to wait. And done that, and now we have to say this. We'll start fresh. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. And we'll say all the blessings and, oh, I almost forgot the most important part. Let me not forget this. Whew. Let me not forget this part. These are our most important parts of our ceremony. And you can make these consciousness currencies based on the models on our website for your family genealogical inheritance of Shekinah, your women, and their current generations and younger generations of women and youth, female and male. Very easy to do. But the most important gathering is the one of extended family. That's why we give a little bit more kisses in this way. Because without that, the rest falls apart. And that's why American society has become tragic. A lot of people are foregoing their family reunions. They live in very atomized, nuclearized families, concerned with their own piles of money in the bank. And as the Native Americans have said so wisely, look to the 7th to the 11th generation when American people are not doing that. And therefore, the Native American statement, when will you learn that you cannot eat money? Now, I could just as have soon, if I had them diagrammed already, and the pictures arranged, have done that for the family of Coretta and Martin, for Yolanda and Bernice and their children and their sister Kazinas and Angel Ferris, Angel Christine Ferris, and Alberta, and then also all of the men in that context. If that had happened, Martin Luther King would be alive today and would have succeeded. His dream would have been fulfilled. And he would have known, as I know, that Mary of Magdala was also a Christ. And he would have no trouble preaching that. And I'm pretty sure that if he was alive today, he would preach that. And it's only the overblowing of him as a patriarch that is preventing his own family from knowing and preaching that. But they also would have to learn a little bit about Atlantis and goddess worship, the Orisha of Africa, the many goddesses of African culture. We have forgotten that the African culture is filled with goddesses. Maya Angelou is a risen Maya angel, and she's coming back through the Stargate. We're going to bring our loving people back through the Stargate. That's what she meant, which she means I rise. I'm going to help her rise right back through the Stargate. Count on me. I'm a direct descendant and Kazina of Lynn Margulies, the mother of the Gaia Effect, and her husband, Carl Alexander Sagan, the author of books about the Stargates. And I studied the lives of Mileva and Albert Einstein and their associates and their children, and I know that we can do that. This is not science fiction. It will be science fact very soon if we can let go of patriarchy. Yeah. So we'll say supercalifragilisticexpialidocious and all the blessings and all the greetings of all the heritages of our earth and our earths. Kangs Pax, Namaste, Bitakuye Oyasin, Bahava L'chaim Shalom, Salam, Salam Aleikum, Merci, Ciao, Tschüss, Schlanzavak, Mir, Pace, Tubesk, Sedleric, greetings of love and greetings of the goddess. And then her many names, Amaterasu, Mara, Rayet, Isis, Yastra, Maya, Mari. I represent them all, Estrella, Gaia. I am here. I am bringing the golden age to you. It is via the new millennial golden rule. You are the co-secretary generals, co-severas with me. You are the equinox's true cues, just beginning. I am also broadcasting in the spirit of Grace Love, the wife of the founder of television. Television became concentrated in patriarchal paradigm of anthropology. It has failed. It has become a vast, vast poisonous wasteland, lying, deliberately lying and keeping out truth from people. We have the antidote. We have our own broadcasts. We can broadcast the truth. Join us, enjoy it. The world will become risen. Everyone will have eternal life. No one will need a bank and will be eternally wealthy on the many mansions of all our planets. Every blessing, and I'll see you later this afternoon and again this evening on another broadcast, both times. Hugs and love to all, both and each and every one. Hugs and love to all, both and each and every one as soon as possible. And hugs and love to all, both and each and every one.